The city of Arlington is a tale of two cities, where for some it is truly the best of times, while for others it is the worst of times. Hope is gone. It is a house divided against itself, one north and one south, one slave and one free. And in the realm of education, it is continuously striving, not with great speed, magna cum celeritate, but with all deliberate speed, to eliminate a persistent and pervasive achievement gap in fulfillment of a constitutional guarantee for a quality education for all, and all to move towards union, in that sense of mathematical certainty described in the concepts of approaches to a limit, towards union, and a silence runs through it. There is a palpable and empirically discernible distinction between the two cities, obscured by a collective community perception of color blindness. But the city atop a hill borders the towers of academia, while the wretched refuse of teeming shores fills the lowlands near the sewage facility. McMansions and fine homes with green lawns are not found there. Among the community, including and bordering what was a temporary refugee camp for emancipated slaves, called a freedmen's village, that lasted for over 30 years, but rather refurbished high-rises of a distant age converted to condominiums, garden apartments, and for beautification, green space, and all to move towards union, in that sense of mathematical certainty described in the concepts of approaches to a limit, towards union, and a silence runs through it. Towards union, in 1868, with the ratification of the 14th Amendment, the statutory authority for the federal question decided by the U.S. Supreme Court, Chief Justice Earl Warren presiding, for Oliver Brown, on behalf of his third-grade daughter, Linda. The former states of the Confederacy, including the Old Dominion state of Virginia, were required to create an education system for newly freed slaves of African descent, and towards union, yet promoting racial integrity. Many segregated schools, like the one in which my grandmother taught during a Jim Crow age, were established. But in 1954, towards union, more than a preponderance of empirical evidence determined an unquestionable conclusion that separate was not equal in operation, even if in principle, as encouraged by early advocates invoking the image of being as separate as the fingers in all things social, and one as the hand in all things essential to mutual progress. And accordingly, towards union, it was declared that this pernicious discrimination was not de facto or matter of fact, but de jure as a matter of law in violation of the Equal Protection Clause articulated in the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Towards union, and a silence runs through it. While many today expect miracles in Der Sprache der Deutschen, or in 100 days, the highest court in the land in times of 1954 America suffered no such grand delusion. And in a movement march towards union, simply compelled the offending states to implement the mandate from their decree with all deliberate speed. And if we are to accept as true the popular narrative on the left, that the staunch segregationists in the Old South jettisoned to safety in the Party of Lincoln and Emancipation, in simultaneous and reciprocal action to the exodus of descendants of former slaves into the Democrat Party in the 1960s, drawn by Great Society programs and civil rights provisions like the Voting Rights Act, perhaps we can reconcile a 5-year delay in desegregation and a physical segregation wall in a Northern Virginia school district that today is one of the most reliable Democrat districts in the southern states, and which delivered record percentages to Hillary Rodham Clinton in 2016, besting even Barack Obama, the nation's first African American president. But then why, almost 150 years after creating an education system guaranteeing a quality education for all, over 60 years after the landmark Brown decision, and almost 50 years after enactment of an education amendment to the state constitution, enacted as direct consequence to the tumult during the civil rights struggle, does there persist inequities in education in Arlington, Virginia, one of the wealthiest and most educated school districts in the country, one of the best public school divisions in the Commonwealth, and with the highest expenditure per pupil of any suburban public school district in the national capital area. Why? We must ask the question, why? Why? And we must ask how. Do we explain the decisions of elected officials to make repairs on the high school in the least affluent area of that city the lowest priority, and the one in the wealthiest area of that city atop a hill the highest priority? And moreover, their puzzling explanation that they did not recognize the extent of deterioration on the high school serving more persons of color until they looked inside, when anyone with unimpaired sight, color blindness notwithstanding, could see from external observation which facility required the most repair. How? We must ask, how do we explain this and not simply accept on faith? We must ask, how? 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 And furthermore, how do we explain the findings of a 2013 report on special education that noted systemic deficiencies in assessment of school-aged children because administrators failed to distinguish between cultural differences and cognitive impairment? A commissioned study that was completed in 2013, but which has not yet developed an action plan to correct those deficiencies. How? We must ask, how do we explain this and not simply accept on faith? We must ask, how? 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 I have dared to ask, apparently for the very first time, these very difficult and uncomfortable questions, and even requested that the current school board commission a study to determine the root causes of the anomalous achievement gap that presents itself in our peculiar institution that cannot be explained by the popular narrative that prevails in depressed inner cities, lacking our abundant resources and education and opportunities. But that has yet to be manifested in destiny. Yet in ancient times so long ago, as Plato, that scientist and political philosopher and student of Socrates, noted, strange times are these, when young and old are taught falsehoods in school, and the person that dares to tell the truth is called at once a lunatic and a fool. I am akin to that child of innocence depicted in the Hans Christian Andersen tale, who asked why the emperor had not clothes, like Diogenes in that quest with his lamp to find that honest man, looking back to a once upon a time and in pursuit of a happily ever after. Yet and still, far worse and far more troubling is the question as to how do we explain the silence? How do we explain the silence towards union? And a silence runs through it. And no, I do not surrender, for surrender is not a Ranger word. But I submit that it is time to make America great again. I submit that it's time to speak up and make some noise. Major change is in the wings. But who am I? Who am I? We asked this question at the beginning of my campaign. Who am I? My name is Major Mike Webb, and I am running for Arlington School Board. Honest.
This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb. Honest.